Alrighty, we're down here at the end of the Terry Cemetery. I'm looking for a couple of buddies. Maybe like finding a needle in a haystack, but they're backpacking in and I couldn't come for some personal reasons, but I want to try to find them today on a day hike. We're going down the Longfield Branch Trail down into No Business, and talked a little bit about No Business before. Community that one time had close to 300 residents, started to die out after World War II, and then early 60s pretty much gone. Hard to fathom that it was cleared from rim to rim, but this is one of the more dramatic stories, and it involved a man named Rancy Boyette. Rancy was a derivative of the name Ransom, so instead of calling him Ransom, they call him Rancy. Had a son named Jerome. Jerome was in his early 20s. Always carried a .45 automatic handgun. That'll be more important as we get into the story, but he and some of his buddies went down to the company store that Stearns had on Rock Creek, and they'd hang out. Well, Jerome got into an argument with his uncle, and before they got back on the car to ride back on the train to No Business, the owner of the store stopped the train, called the police. Sheriff Winningham from Jamestown. It took a while to get there, so you can imagine tensions getting a little bit higher and higher, but they finally arrived, and this is where the story gets a little bit goes in a different direction with some, but some claim that the sheriff's deputy, which was also his son, fired into the cab, and Jerome fired back in self-defense. Others say that Jerome fired first. Irregardless, the deputy lay dead, and then the sheriff was shot, and he died a couple of days later in Nashville. Jerome escapes into the darkness and makes his way back to No Business, but they start a hunt for him, and the Winningham family is very popular, and that caused a whole lot of tension in the community. And days later, they find Rancy's body in his cabin. He had been beaten and hanged by the neck, and the body was already starting to deteriorate, and it appears they tried to get the information out of him as to where his son was, but he didn't give them the information, so he was killed. And when Jerome found out, he turned himself in because he didn't want any more harm coming to family members, and they were taken to a jail in Scott County and Huntsville, and several days pass. On a Friday night, about 25 vigilantes show up, drag him and another person out of the jail. They find their beaten, bullet-ridden bodies in Helenwood the next day. So all in all, out of that event, 5 people were killed. And if you live in these communities around here, you know that it probably took generations for the families to sort of recuperate from that. But that's one of the big stories from the no business area, and if I can't find my friends, we'll try to walk around those business some and around the creek. Going down an old road bed, got some interesting formations, but hopefully they'll be down by No Business Creek, and if not, we'll just make a day of it and hike around this area. Interesting rock house just right by the road there. It goes back pretty far. Very interesting. Down here by the river and found a flat spot covered in stone. You can just imagine that home places on this large rectangular area, stone pile on the backside, may well have been part of a chimney, but just doesn't take much imagination to see a good flat spot like this, to realize probably someone lived in this area. Lots of history gone forever. All right, we're on Sheltoe. We just passed the turnoff to go up to John Muir Overlook, but we're walking the bottom and walking out towards Big South Fork on the Sheltoe Trace. Evidence of a lot of farming from back in the day, flatland along the river. You can just imagine the fields that were being farmed along this riverbank. Very easy, beautiful trail. Park at the Terry Cemetery Road, go down Longfield Branch. You'll hit No Business Creek. You can hang a left and go to Ramsey Boyd's chimney, the remnants of his old farm, or you can turn right like we are and walk back towards about 3 miles to the river. Once you get to the bottom, it's basically an old road bed and very, very easy walking. Alrighty, the remnants of an old stone wall along the land right here by the creek. Oh, this is really neat. Just an old fence post. Still got the old nail in it. It's neat to think that nail's probably 100, 150 years old. Pretty neat, finding a lot of remnants of former residents of No Business. You know, it's just really neat to find these old home places and the stacked rock, knowing that you're finding remains of people that touched these rocks the last several hundred years ago. Another home place along No Business Creek. Alrighty, more signs of ancient life. Don't want to move it, but remnants of an old pot, old sheet metal. So we know there's a home place right here. Oh, old bottle, can. This could well have been, this is so neat. The old garbage dump from the house up on the hill above us. There's no home place, no doubt there. Wow. Oh, looky here. I'd say that shovel saw some hard work. Got a little stand of cane, and that brings back lots of childhood memories. Dad would cut me off a cane pole. We'd paint it green to preserve it, and on the very end, put like about 3 feet of line and a little lure. You could take the cane pole and reach it out over bluegill beds and just kind of zip the lure back and forth in a zigzag motion and catch a ton of fish. I don't know anybody does that anymore, but seeing cane poles brings back a lot of memories. The green cane pole. And more remnants. Container, and it's all for you. It's some sort of carbonated drink. Wow. Put it back for everybody to look at.
More artifacts. More artifacts of skills this time.
These folks left stuff everywhere. Another 5-gallon bucket. They went through a lot of wash tubs. I don't know if you can see the original cable, barbed wire, fence post, and another steel cable going into a rock wall, so no doubt this area was fenced off. So again, signs from back in the early 1900s. Another old fence row and rock fence up the side, so another home place. Of course, we found their garbage a while ago. Place was teeming with people. Most records say upwards to 300 during this peak.
I don't think I recorded that last time I saw that.
Wow, the old home place. Original foundation still standing. All the way around. Then the rock in the front. The 3 main porches for the pillars for the front porch. 1, 2, 3. So you could see the cellar, and then the porch would come out to where the tops of these pillars are, and then they'd have, I'm sure, steps down. But wow, very, very good stuff. I'll put that. Put it back for someone else. The big mystery is finding a range in the middle of nowhere. Did they have electricity? And the answer would be no. Surely not. Was there electricity down here? But they had a stove. Alright, according to our map, this was the old school building right off of the creek. There's one of the corners, and up here is the other corner. And probably went back to that corner to the big rock. So that was the original little school building. So I think I've done all I'm going to do. I'm going to turn around and go back, head back to Terry Cemetery. Got about 4-something miles to go. So you look from these overlooks and you say there's no way people could live down here. Well, then you take a good slow walk and start looking, and you see signs of life everywhere. So just a great lesson that slow down, take your time and look, and you'll find a lot of things that you just too caught up in your life, going too fast, and you just miss so much. So gonna head back to the car and then close her out. Alrighty, we're heading back to West Cemetery. Been a great trip. Gonna wind her down. We did about a 8.5 mile loop, taking our time and looking for signs of life down here. Found quite a bit of it. So hope you've enjoyed it. I've been here with Papaw in the Woods, Karl O. Check his channel out. Karl then O. Some fantastic cooking videos there. You don't have to starve to death in your camping. Karl's got some great videos, so check him out. Hope you've enjoyed it. Talk to you later.